like I ended up dragging my grandma out of the car with a shattered femur and dragging my grandma up the hill away because the car was on fire.
People that had fallen down and what it took for them to get back up and like rise.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Aloe vera helps like relieve it, but olive oil, dude, crazy.
Like when it comes to houses, there's kind of like a standard thing of issues that you have, right? Bad plumbing, bad electrical, maybe some structural damage, right? Roofing, exterior, interior, electrical, AC.
We focus on multifamily.
One of my favorite to look at.
Remember how he was like, I stressed him out so fast. You could just see his blood pressure went max. He's like, I got to get out of here. And he jumps in his rental Tesla and phew, he's gone. Welcome for another episode of the ADHD Express podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carlson. I've got a wonderful special guest for you today. Joe Renderknecht is with us. Joe has been a client of mine. I've been his advisor. He's been my advisor. I gave him a flip property once. He brought a bigger flip property to me. This guy's been wonderful, been a great ally for me in the real estate investing world, and I hope you guys enjoy what he's got to say. And there you go. Welcome to the ADHD Express, everybody. I'm your host, Brian Carlson. So the laughter is our audio spike, and every time we have just decided that we don't warn the guest that it's coming. So we use our editors use that spike to sync all of these videos that are running.
Oh, nice.
It's a really neat little trick. Makes a little spike and you just drag the tips.
I like it.
So anyways, yeah. So welcome to the show. As usual, I'm Brian, your host. We've got our wonderful Joe on mic. We've got his beautiful brother, Daniel.
Hello.
Also on mic. And today we have a very special visitor. Joe Renderknecht is with us today, you guys. And Joe is a dear personal friend of mine. We've done business together. We're business colleagues as well as personal friends. Anyways, Joe Renderknecht. Hey, man.
Yeah. Oop.
You can grab that if you want.
I'm good.
So, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Excited to be here and part of the ADHD Express podcast.
Yeah, man. Is this your first time on a podcast?
This is like my second or third.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're a pro, dude.
Still pretty new.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, cool. So on our podcast, Joe, we just love to talk about people and the different career paths that they take. And yours wasn't your career path is actually really intentional.
Yep.
And so that's kind of a little different than what we have on here. Cause right. My whole thing is I want to show people, hey, just cause you pick something and now you don't like it, like that's fine. Yeah. You can change it. It's actually not, I mean, it's hard. We have a whole series of discussions. There's a couple of books and you're a reader. You read. Are you familiar with Carl Jung?
What book?
The Red Book or the
Red book and the Black Book.
I haven't heard of those. No.
So they just kind of talk about some of the stuff. Yeah, go. Do you want to give us the quick again? I know everybody on every podcast, Joe talks about the archetype and becoming the fool again, right? So that's kind of one of the things. Like when you're going to go start something new, you kind of have to go become the fool. Yeah. You're leaving what you were the expert at, and then you kind of have to start. We've been joking about this. We started a podcast. We knew nothing about it, and the first couple were amusing.
Yeah.
And now it's actually turning into something that's pretty cool. Like as you saw, there's a procession. There's 5 cameras. There's no Tommy today. I wonder when he's going to come out.
Oh yeah,
we'll hear him.
Yeah, he'll come out at some point in time. Usually Tommy's right there on the.
Nice.
So, but yeah. So anyway, man, let's kind of just jump right into that whole intentional career path thing because it's something that a lot of people just don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I would say too, it was intentional, but like a major life event happened that made me change it.
Awesome.
Right? Because previous the life event, like I was going to be an x-ray tech because that's what my parents wanted me to do. And I was going to be a rancher just like the rest of my family. And so once this major life event happened, I decided to live for myself and go against the grain of most everything that I had learned.
Wow. Dang, man. Life event something you could share?
Yeah.
I actually think I just remembered what it was.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
Oh, awesome, a life event. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Hang on. I've known Joe long enough. I know what this was. That was not awesome.
Yeah, and I'm fine with talking about it. We're actually coming up on the 11th anniversary on the 17th. So in 2 weekends. But it was March 17th, 2013. That's about the time we go into spring break here. My little brother, he's like 22 months younger than me, my grandma.
You're pretty close.
Yeah. So I mean, we were inseparable growing up, right? We fought hard against each other, but we, protected each other. And we went up to Idaho for spring break, and on our way home, we were in a really bad car accident, and he died on the scene, and my grandma that was with us died a week later. And so, the part that at that time in my life, I was not living for me. I was, I guess what you would, I was just doing what everybody wanted me to do.
Sure, kind of what the expectation was.
Yeah, it was just living for everybody else and not for me. And so, I was not very happy, and I wasn't like living life to the fullest either. Like I was not making great choices. And, I'm, Mormon and LDS, right? And I believe in, second chances. And I think that, our God is all merciful. But after that car accident, we landed in a field, and, to make a long story short, like I ended up dragging my grandma out of the car with a shattered femur and dragging my grandma up the hill away because the car was on fire on top of all of this. Right.
Oh my.
So I can tell more details if you really want to hear them. But, I was laying in that field, and a couple guys came and gave me a blessing. And the only thing I really remember was that you've been given a second chance. And so, I took that second chance.
That's awesome. That's
So,
an event,
moments.
man.
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
That's awful and tragic. And
yeah.
yeah, man. Wow. So, well, and that's great. And honestly, and like, I hate to say it, but sometimes it takes that.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes stuff like that to happen, dude. To be honest, like, I kind of feel like, so I had a friend of mine, kind of a business colleague, right? I've talked before on the show about BNI. You guys, we've talked about that. We've actually had BNI.
Yep.
You know about BNI. I've explained to you, taught you the power of BNI.
Yep.
It was just one of the dudes in BNI. This is a business networking group. We meet every Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the morning, hang out for 2 hours talking about stuff, and then we go about our day. Became such a good friends with this guy. Went to lunch with him a bunch of times, went to his business, helped him grow his business. He helped me grow my business. And then he got sick and like passed away like fast. One of those things, like he was just this dude. And he was one of the guys, like I remember when I met him and it was just like, wow, like that dude is doing it right. Like he's got these business. His wife ended up having a passion business. It's Serenoni Luxury Blankets, right? Go out their website, buy their stuff. It's awesome. But, and he so believed in what she was doing that he just started helping her with her business. And they would like, dude, they would do a vacation. Oh yeah, we're going to Africa, but we're going to Africa. And instead of going to like touristy spots, we're going to go to these poor villages and we're going to help them install a well.
Oh,
We're going to pay for them to come and drill a well, and we're going to help them bring.
Nice.
And it was just like, dude, what? You're doing that with your kids and your wife? Yeah, we are. Like,
oh, did you hear about the new well design that came out?
no. This is why it's the ADHD Express.
I see.
So
all good.
there was a scientist, or he was a professor at one of the major league schools, and he came up with a patent that is like a children's carousel where they go and they spin them around in circles. They found a way in order to make that so that's a manual digger.
Wow.
And so the children playing on the carousel dug the well for the village.
And also pumped the water.
Awesome.
So they would bring their
That
kids
is
to play on the
awesome.
carousel and pump the water out of the well.
So the children's joy and the children's play.
That is so
brings
awesome on
water
so
to the
many
village.
levels.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's very
What
ingenious.
do you mean child labor? They're playing, jerk. They're playing.
That gives them a playground. And
That's awesome. But see,
Pumps
you know what?
water.
And that person, if we got the person who did that, probably had some sort of either tragic story or had some life event that inspired them to come up with something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's pure genius, you know? Like I said, we were segueing. I was just, Nathan passed away, you know, and it was one of those things I was like, dude, that guy was just a little bit older than me, but really had it kind of looked like he had it figured out, you know? And so like, I was just like, man, I want to have it figured out. And that was kind of what started the whole journey and why we have a podcast today.
Yep.
So, you know, and so anyways, that's kind of, everybody has these life altering events.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a SWAT team kicking in your, It only happened once.
So
Great experience, huh?
What's that?
It's a great experience
Oh
for you.
boy, that's one it's for the books and one to never repeat again. And I don't advise it. I don't recommend it. That was an experience that I really, having gone through it, I'm pretty sure I could have lived my whole life without having had that happen and been okay with that. As I'm sure most people who've been on the receiving end of one of those visits would probably tell you.
Yeah.
Well, they are not necessarily rude house guests.
But
so after the accident, like what is that what kind of switched
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah. So pretty much what I learned after that, because my injuries were bad enough. They didn't think that I was going to live either. And I didn't actually know that until a year or later that I was in the trauma unit and I was in there for 7 days. Like I was in pretty bad shape. And, one thing I'll say really quick, and then I'll answer your question is I would say the main reason why I am where I am today and who I am today is because of like the outpouring support from the community.
Oh, cool.
Right. And our close family. Cause I even started a nonprofit, right? If
Oh
you
yeah. Right.
remember,
What's that called?
Tiny's Tribe.
Tiny's Tribe.
Tiny's Tribe. Yep. So named after my brother's name is Clancy. His nickname was Tiny. And so Tribe was a community, right?
Sure.
Because, our family community came together and like they paid for my hospital bills, my grandma's life flight, funeral, all those things. But
really
then,
big expenses.
yeah. And, I probably lost sleep while I was recovering because of the amount of people. I just remember so many people always coming over to make sure that myself and my family were okay. Right. And so that really helped pick me up. But this is what really changed my mind was, I'm going to live now because Clancy, he was a great example to me even to this day that like if Clancy wanted something, he went after it unapologetically and just did whatever it took. Right. And I was not living like that. So I'm like, okay, now I need to live for myself and for my brother. That was like my motivation to keep going at that time because I could have been pissed off at God for taking my best friend and I could have gone a very different route. But I took the route of, okay, I'm going to live for myself and I'm going to...
Damn it, Daniel.
Dropping the wood.
Every time it's like, sorry, go ahead, keep going.
Oh, you're good.
That's why that happens is because we're so fascinated by what you're saying.
So where was I at? So I just started living for myself. And what was crazy was like my parents were mourning,
Sure.
right? I'm the oldest and my brother was the second oldest. And, my parents are from up in Idaho Falls area, little town called Ryrie. And like they were doing their own mourning, but they wanted to try and push me to what they wanted, which was to have me go to school at BYUY. Like they even had professors coming to our house to talk to me about getting on the X-ray tech program. And I just wasn't having it, right? I said, I'm going to live for myself. And a couple things I did is I moved out. I left Ryrie 5 months after the crash. Like I recovered so quick and was back to work at Burton Lumber is where I worked at the time.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Back in 2013. And then I got married to my wife. Yeah. I got married 5 months later. Actually, I came back to Logan 3 months after the accident, got married 5 months after the accident, which was crazy because like my parents and her parents were like, they did not like that we were getting married because they're like, oh, you just lost somebody significant in your life. Like you're trying to fill the hole. And I'm like, well, we've been dating for couple of years by this point, maybe a year and a half. And so it's like, wasn't like a new engagement. We were funny enough, like we were broke up at the time of the accident and then she just kept coming around and, it was fate. And I'm so grateful that I did that because my mindset at that time, and I apologize to my parents if you hear this, cause it's nothing against you guys. It's just, that was what my mindset was, is like, I love you, but screw you, I'm doing what I want.
Yeah.
And so from there on, I got out of the X-ray tech program immediately and went into business. And so that's when I started down the journey of entrepreneurship, started a couple businesses, and then ultimately got into what I'm doing now, which is, apartment buildings, buying, and
That's
yeah.
That's always a very interesting market and tons of fun when you look at it. Honestly,
investment properties are huge, dude.
Yeah.
In fact, we total segue of a hysterical story, and another guest that we're really looking forward to having on the show is a guy named Tate Seamer. What is his podcast? Multifamily. Dang it! I have to find. We'll talk about it when he's on the show. But so Tate and I have a past way back to my drug days, and we didn't know, because we kind of you forget stuff like that. Like when you meet people, it's been a long time. So as you most know, I'm a really good home inspector, building property inspector, and
there you go.
Joe is really good at finding deals and putting deals together, and Joe has got a special knack for value add properties. Those of you in the business know what I mean by a value add.
Yep.
And that's a whole other episode. We could talk about verbiage. That's a different one. So anyway, so we fly to
Oklahoma
City, Oklahoma. That's right.
Okay.
And not the nice part.
Yeah.
I lived
we
in
thought it
Oklahoma
was
City.
nicer until we showed up.
We're pulling into the parking lot, and I'm like, wait, what are you under contract on this for? Do you remember? I was like, from the street. I was like, dude, no.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you got to see it. And I'm like, I am
seeing this.
It was a no from the street.
We spent a lot of money to get there too, to just show up and be like, what in the hell?
You guys, this was so crazy.
Step into?
It was what, 9 buildings?
Yeah, it's like 180 units, I think. Or maybe
9 or 10 buildings.
So no,
yeah,
if it was
90
nine buildings, probably 10 plexes.
I think it was 10 plexes.
Yeah.
So a couple of them are empty because they were so bad and inhabit. Like literally, like when it comes to houses, there's kind of like a standard thing of issues that you have, right? Bad plumbing, bad electrical, maybe some structural damage, right? Roofing, exterior, interior, electrical, AC. And then you start getting into the real problems like the meth, the mold, the termites, the
crackheads.
The crackheads who strip every inch of copper out of everything, like including to unspool the motors and the ACs.
Yeah,
like, do you know how long that takes and how little money you actually get?
Okay.
Get a freaking job. You'll make more money than spooling copper.
You got to tell them. I think you're about to say the bee story.
I was gonna say, yeah. So bee infestations. Like, have you ever seen a bee infestation in a house?
Yeah.
So I'm a home inspector, so I see shit like this all the stuff. Sorry, beep. Sorry, Joe. I see stuff like this all the time. But like, so this was legit. So there's these yellow crusty stuff at the edge of the ceiling, in a couple spots where it's running, and I'm like, yo, I think that's honey. And they're like, remember? They're like, no. I'm like, no, man, that's honey.
Yeah. Well, and then we got closer to it, and there were bees coming out.
Oh, it was an active.
The crazy thing, right, is the owner came out and met with us while we were in that unit, and you showed him, and he's like, wow. Okay, which is a huge red flag, because if the owner in there
doesn't know that
he's trying to tell us that he's like, oh no, these buildings just need paint and flooring. And I'm like, no, bro. I have a video. Remember the beam that I kicked? I'm like, Joe, it's a main load bearing belt. And he goes, and you were like, well, it doesn't look that bad. And I was like, boom, and it just like exploded into powder.
Just full of termites.
And it was just like, you're like, wait, a dry rot, and like the feces, the one with obviously the main floor unit had been unfinished, and somebody had broken the sewer pipe for the upstairs unit, and they just kept using their toilets and stuff.
What's bad was there was people still living in that building.
Yeah,
like there was a couple residents in each of these buildings that should be
condemned,
burned to the ground.
Like I said, that was basically, it's like a bulldoze, scrape and start over property. I couldn't even.
That's like a lot of Oklahoma City.
You want to overload a really good home inspector? Take him to something like that and say, hey man, can you put together a report on what's wrong here?
Oh,
you'd be like, how about it'd be easier if I just put together a report on what should stay?
Yeah,
nothing.
Because like nothing, even the foundations were crumbling and deteriorated. Like I mean, it was. The trucks at the back of the property. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
They had these 2 trucks.
That like they were like circus or buses.
I don't know.
What were they trying to sell it for?
Somebody was living in them at some point.
Yeah.
Like they had built like a little community. Oh, dude,
what were they asking?
Yeah,
it was wild. I don't remember.
It was high. I want to say 6 to 8 million.
Yeah, 6 to 8 million for sure. But the reason we were even out there, I mean, the guy was deceptive.
Very.
But
very.
He believed that he had a product that just needed
a little bit of work.
And so it's like, this guy is crazy, like literally crazy.
Well, and I think he's from a third world country type situation, and so something that at least sheds water and is like keeps you mostly out of the elements is nice.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, bro, that thing is a death trap. That's most of these buildings. The main floor is all structurally rotted. Like it doesn't matter if the second floor is good.
Yeah.
Pretty soon it's going to become the first floor.
Yeah, he had sent, like, we never would have gone out there hadn't we done like some level of due diligence.
But in a way, and again, this doesn't help you yet, but I wouldn't have hooked up with Tate again.
That's true. I mean, I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. Like, I believe the crash happened for a reason, right?
Sure, man.
I've been able to bless many lives with my nonprofit because of that purpose.
Absolutely.
But yes, like we had so much fun out in
Had
Oklahoma,
so
though.
much fun.
Like we're sweet. We moved up the flights to that day instead of the next day. And we just went buzzed around Oklahoma City, went to a rodeo, or it was like it
was the youth something YCC.
Yeah, the youth. They were showing cows and pigs and
association.
Yeah.
Contest. I don't know what it was for, but yeah, it was huge.
But then we went to lunch with Tate and.
Yeah, and it was funny. So when we met him at this house, this guy, this investor who was going to, set up this deal with us, he's like, he looks at me and I'm like, man, you look really familiar. And he's like, yeah, you look really familiar too, right? And okay, cool. So we do our thing. And remember how he was like, I stressed him out so fast. You could just see his blood pressure went max. He's like, I got to get out of here. And he jumps in his rental Tesla and he's gone.
That's right. He did leave early.
He just bailed. He was like, and you were like, dude, what the crap? Like, that was weird. And then he like, anyways, I'm like, honestly, I was like, he's stressed. He probably went to go get high or something. Remember I said that?
He probably did.
And he totally did. No, I guarantee you he did.
So he'll admit it on the show too.
Probably what he said he would?
He probably would.
Anyways, it was pretty funny. So he bails and we're like, well, I guess this deal's off. What do you want to do? We're like, well, Joe's like, let me see if I can move the flights. And he's like, yeah, I can. So we're like, all right, well, let's just find something cool to go see. We went to that botanical garden.
Yeah, that was
incredible.
So cool.
One of the coolest botanical gardens I've ever been there in downtown Oklahoma City. There was that bridge, that sky bridge thing. That was sick.
Yeah.
We smoked a cigar. That was nice.
Yeah.
And then anyway, so then we ended up, Tate calls us. Oh, okay, so we go meet at this bar to have lunch, right?
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, and somehow the spice topic comes up. And Tate's like, oh, yeah, that's where I know you from. He's like, you were Deep Powder. And I was like, yes, we were. And he was like, yeah. He goes, and I'm like, you're Tate. I'm like, now it's all like, of course you are. Like, yeah, duh. So it was really kind of funny. And so it was neat kind of reconnecting with him and going through some of those memories. And it was just a random, some guy in a bar somewhere
in Oklahoma City
that I knew really well. And so anyways, he's been out here to Utah and we kind of connected a little bit. His last time he was actually going to be on the show, but his little dog, who's like his best friend, it's like a companion animal, takes this thing everywhere. It's like over 10 years old. So, I mean, that's a major part of your life to get attached to a creature, and so the dog got sick and almost died. And so he was camped here with having to get in these specialty hospitals. And so far, what I know, the dog is still doing good. And so he's back home. Try not to stress the animal, which I get, dude.
You better get him on the podcast soon. I think he might be making some moves to Mexico.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. So there's actually another cool guy that we met who basically sold everything, changed his life, and is living in a camper in Baja, Mexico, running a campground.
Nice.
He just got their homeschooling their two or three daughters there. Dude, I'm quite envious as it's snowing in my backyard right now.
Yeah, that's right.
In March. So, but anyways, yeah. So, yeah.
Where do we go now?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
The moon and back. So you okay? What's your favorite investment properties that you've seen, or like
we focus on multifamily.
The multifamily?
Yeah, apartment buildings, and
those are my favorite to look at. So like, what's your your level that you like going for the most?
Like
what we're doing right now is typically like 100+ unit apartment complexes, and I don't do a lot of development. We do acquisition.
Okay.
But like there's deals locally that like Brian and I will look at doing together that are much smaller, just because it's easier to manage and it's in our backyard. Like he and I, we had a deal under contract in Bergam City, a 24-plex, and we ended up just wholesaling it, making a really pretty check.
Yeah.
We're just putting the deal
awesome
together.
Transaction. Yeah. Well, and even just now we've got the one. Have you made it down to Salt Lake to look at that property I sent you?
I was there in Salt Lake yesterday, and I just had to go look at it.
Yeah. So I already went down and drove around and took a bunch of pictures, and we can contact the owner, and he's got a dude on site. Turns out the RV that's on there, that's an arrangement with the owner, and that dude is supposed to be the caretaker.
Mm.
And so, I think he's the one who's There's people living in garages and stuff, but the whole thing is all
Jeez.
empty. All empty.
Yeah.
Everything around that entire block has already been raised and built into a high rise with a substructure park or sub parking structure.
Let's look at it again soon because I've met some pretty cool developer connections that do infill development. So
I have a bunch of pictures.
it'd be cool to see if that was in the opportunity zone in an OZ.
Oh yeah.
Where is that? Because
An
like
O-
literally everything around that is like across the street. They have demolished everything and are building this literally exactly what I want to build. It's all around. This is the last in this area. It's the last like garbage element in that area.
Yeah.
Right in downtown.
Yeah, it's right. Well, one block up is the avenues.
Okay.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's that street.
I think that
it's
is in the
one more block
zone.
up starts the avenues.
Yeah, we'll have to check
So
the
like
OZ.
there's
'Cause
like
if it's in the opportunity zone, like there's some
literally
huge
like
tax
beautiful people
benefits.
walking everywhere, and then there's homeless people around this property. So it's one of those properties that I'm sure the city would love to have a couple of young, ambitious, hungry dudes come, get a hold of it. So I'm
will
down
look
to
at it.
pursue it. We have inns, we have people, we have.
We have the resources. We just
right.
got to do
I
it.
just don't have time.
That's right.
Kidding me, dude? I missed. Now that we only are down to me, we missed 10 home inspections between yesterday and today.
Jeez.
Like that is the section of the market that I'm giving up, that I'm losing to do all this. Like 10. That's another guy's full week in 2 days.
Good indicator of what the market's doing, though.
Well,
too.
so yeah,
Stuff's
in February there was only like 43 closings in Cache Valley.
happening.
We did 36 home inspections. Like,
All of them.
yeah, it's
Almost.
pretty crazy, man. Well, it's always been like that for the last 10 years, and then now it's just weird because it's just me. I don't have all the
Yep.
crazy, but it's also a lot more peaceful.
It just has that.
Yeah, I just figured we're just gonna make money.
Yeah.
Adventures.
Yeah.
Right?
Life.
Go to brockstaradventures.com.
Right?
Our new
Book
website.
your guided
is it?
tour.
Yeah, for our
Okay.
snow bike tours.
Nice.
And then hopefully here in the next couple of months, we'll come up with a plan and a loan, and we'll start doing adventure bike tours, guided tours and stuff. Yep, destination.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be super awesome and fun and right up my alley because I love motorcycles so much. I miss riding.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to get into it. I've never been into motorcycles much.
Yeah, horses are
Too much
awesome.
fun.
I totally get the horses, but like the thing of it is I haven't touched my motorcycle all winter and it's fine.
I haven't done a lot with horses in a
I
long
know. Well,
time.
I know. Some people are like, oh, I'd rather have a horse than a motorcycle. Like, I understand. I totally get it. My kids would rather have horses than motorcycles, and we have motorcycles and a motocross track, not horses.
Oh, you got that field. You can
I'm
make
aware.
It.
That's why there's a motocross track there. If I got horses, then there's no motocross track.
Oh, you can
I'd
have,
have to-
one horse in there.
I thought about it. My girls would love it, but like, wouldn't he be lonely? I mean, I guess you got to go out a couple times a day anyway, so why would he get lonely, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a single horse would be fine. Just find you an old one. An old one that take care of your kids.
We'll have to talk about this off the show. My daughters would lose. It's not the horse. Like I realize, like you can get old horses are cheap, and sometimes it just needs a horse needs somewhere to go retire till it
Yep.
dies.
It does.
And so,
Make sure they don't have any bad habits.
yeah,
Like biting.
dude, right? I've only ever been bit by young horses. I've never had a well, that's not true. I've had them try. I guess that's true. Now I'm all like leery, and I don't let them when they start looking. I'm like, hey, don't you?
Yeah.
We had Turk, Nebraska, and Wyoming.
Should I get a mule, not a horse?
I think you'd prefer a horse over a mule. Yeah. I've never had a mule, but I mean, stubborn as a mule is.
I guess that's a good
not,
point.
I mean, that's a true expression.
Yeah. Isn't it? There's a horse mule mix or something? Is that what I'm thinking of?
So yeah. Well, that's what a mule is.
Right, that's what I
a
thought.
horse and donkey.
yeah.
And a mule is like you can't breed. What's that?
Oh, like,
Oh yeah, it's crossbreed.
It's sterile. Is it sterile?
sterile.
It's sterile.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
so
only
it can't
create
breed.
them, but then they.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. A friend of mine was telling me that those are just more chill, but
I mean, they are. I would say. I mean, lots of people ride them. But I don't have a lot of experience with
Well,
mules.
and
There's a reason they
I've
call
only
him a
ever ridden-
jackass.
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, you're probably right. And maybe I'll talk about it. I don't know. I already have chickens.
Mules are
and,
definitely not as cute as horses, though, either.
Yeah, that's a valid
They look
point.
at that and be like, what did you get? Just go get him a mini Shetland.
Yeah. So actually, if I was to do something like that, so my family down in Kanosh, they have some gorgeous gypsy banners. Have you seen a gypsy banner?
Yeah, they're
Long. It's like a mini Clydesdale.
like
type.
halflingers.
Yeah, kind of like a draft horse, but small.
Yeah, yep, that's a halflinger.
Yeah, they're beautiful. That's what I would like to see. You know, it's still a strong animal you can do some cool stuff with.
Yeah,
You know, not quite
halflingers are fun. Yeah, when I worked on a ranch, we had one. His name was Hippie.
Oh, there you go.
And stocky little buggers.
Yeah.
They're so much fun to ride.
Yeah, these are like the girl with the long. They have to braid the tail so they don't drag in the
Yep.
mud and stuff.
And they'll
like,
probably chase you as you're going around your motorbike track.
You think so?
Oh,
Are
yeah.
they playful?
Yeah, they're playful.
I thought about. I'm like, you know, there's, I don't know, like you watch dudes that like, you know, love their horse, like you love your dog, kind of a situation, and like
Mhm.
they can get horses. They're so smart. They do
Yep.
like you can train them to do like the coolest stuff. And so I've thought about it because I'm like, well, and he's right here. Like literally, you go out in the backyard and there's your dang horse. So, but how much does it cost you a year to feed a horse?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
Right. See, that's it's more
It's
of
been
like
a
it's
while
not.
since I've owned a personal horse
Right.
at my house.
I know I have the land and I could easily build a structure that he's got, so he's got somewhere to get out of the shit weather. You know, like
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I couldn't tell you how much hay. You could probably, I don't know, one of the big bells, maybe on average like a month. Like in the winter, you'll be feeding more than maybe. I mean, I shouldn't even say. Somebody who rides horses day in day out is going to hear this and be like, this guy has no idea.
Yeah,
what he's
I have friends who have horses. I'll just ask one of them.
Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is they all have like multiple horses. That's what I don't understand. It's like it's just, you know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's
We'll
a
see
lot
what
of hay.
happens.
it
a
is a
lot
lot
of
of hay
hay.
for it's an expensive hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I say. Unless now, like my Haley, my middle daughter, wants to do anything, any kind of competition she could.
Mm.
So I get that, but it also seems like the horse people, like that's kind of what your hobbies always end up entailing is horse stuff. Because how else you have to? You can't
Yep.
leave the horses alone,
Yeah,
right?
you gotta make them work for it.
Well, but not only that, but I mean, like, well, no, but the horses too. Like, I guess because I've never had one. So if you're caring for a horse, is it like you can't just like put food out and or I
You
guess
have to run it.
A lot of them will have
you can.
fields that they have, like they'll have a field with their horse just so that they can have their own hay growing.
Yeah, like even here, you could put, a bale feeder, and you could put an entire bale in there, and they just eat it at their own will, right? Like if you were to leave,
yeah.
I mean, you can leave the horse, of course. You're not going to take it on vacation with you.
Well,
You
yeah,
just
I
have
guess that's-
somebody come and check up on him.
A horse-friendly
make sure
hotel.
it's got water and
Yeah,
food. And then it's-
horses are more like cats, right?
Okay,
They
gotcha.
can- like dogs, somebody's got to be there watching them, or
They're gonna be mad at you if you're not there.
yeah,
yeah, they'll destroy
yeah,
some shit.
dogs. I don't have the greatest relationship with dogs. I think they're too needy. I like cats more than dogs.
That's funny. Yeah, it's okay.
But,
I like
but
Tommy.
the
He's good,
horses are pretty easy as long as you have somebody just to go check on them while
Yeah.
you're out of town or something.
buddy. Well, maybe we'll
water.
have to look at it then, because we do
Yeah.
have the pasture.
There you go.
I'd have to take out the growing hay in between it so that he's got room to eat, right? I'd have to. So that's what I figure. If I did that, I'd have to have like sections fenced off,
Yeah.
so you can let them grow, and then when they're nice and long, hey, go in there, buddy, have at it. And then he's got fresh stuff during the.
Yeah. Yeah. You could always find other pastures around to have them go hang out with some buddies or something.
All right, well, we'll talk about that. My daughter, this is going to be my daughter's favorite podcast of all.
There you go.
This is where Joe's trying to talk Dad into getting a horse. Well,
Well,
we've
see,
already
why
talked
not?
about it. I want to, what's the word for rescue one of these desert tortoises.
Desert tortoises.
Yeah, so there's a huge thing in Utah with the desert tortoises. Like they get old or they get messed up, and like they literally are looking for people who will home them. But these things live for like 90 years.
Generational
It's so, like,
adoption.
you have to like basically take it, and your kids have to agree to take it when you die.
Sheesh.
It's so
They wouldn't like living here.
why did they hibernate all
De-
winter?
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
And say if they're desert tortoises, like
yeah, no, they
they
hibernate.
just sleep the whole time.
So yeah, I would honestly put him in here. I would just build a little box thing for him to be in because they mostly will hibernate. And like you're supposed to take there's like a whole care thing. You just take them out once a month and you're supposed to soak them in water.
Could you imagine being the grandkids of somebody that got one of those tortoises?
It's still
Here's your
They grow
inheritance.
up with a tortoise in their house.
Right, for legitimately, and you're like, wait, who that? That's Speedy.
Wait, you guys aren't used to a tortoise in your house?
Yeah, you're like, wait, you guys haven't had a tortoise for your house for the last 70 years? We're the third part of the family to have this guy. And think of that from the tortoise's life, right? Oh, I'm caretaker for these lunatics. They keep multiplying.
Why is just like an idea of a nanny cap on a tortoise hilarious right here?
Well, that's what I was like. Honestly, like part of it is because now that I have this cool property, and so Joe, I don't know if you may not know. So I have my vision of this is to continue this podcast. I'm going to rebuild my barn and put a cool guest room above the barn, so if people come from out of the area, they can actually stay. And then I want it to be a cool garden. I'm going to put in a couple of RV pads back there.
Nice.
You know, with some trees and a bunch of stuff. I kind of have a cool plan. You saw the new fences, right? Did you notice it's all fenced in?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
so
have
I
to...
got all these cool black vinyl fences, which are sweet. Like it's actually chain link, but
Nice.
Oh, that's
I'll have to
so
check it
nice
out
to put up.
when I leave.
yeah, just kind of working on it. Like I said, I'm going to try to this year. I'm going to try to put in a bunch of landscaping, a lot of trees and bushes, food production stuff too, because that's my whole thing.
There you go.
Everything we're going to put in should be native and food.
There you go.
3 different types of hazelnuts grow, and 3 different types of elderberries.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
cool.
you know what's funny? The Himalayan goji berry grows here as well as it does in the Himalayas, because apparently the Himalayas are a lot like Cache Valley.
That's good to know.
Like, yeah. But I bet you they don't have the coldest place in the continent. Well, I don't. We have the coldest place in the continental U.S. Did you know that?
Yeah. It was like in Ogden.
No,
Wasn't
it's
it?
Peter
Sinks.
Sinks. It's up in the Sinks on your way to Bear
Okay,
Lake.
Where
yeah.
Beaver is.
Yeah, where Beaver is. That's
Yeah.
the coldest recorded temperatures in the continental
Like
United
Beaver,
States.
Utah?
Beaver
No,
Mountain.
Beaver Mountain
Ski Resort.
Oh, the ski resort.
On your way to
Yeah,
Bear Lake.
It actually has been named the best snow on the planet.
Last year it broke the record by like a lot.
Yeah, like
It's-
it was
I didn't
60
know it was there.
Yeah, it was 69
I
below
thought it was
zero
like
there.
over in Eden somewhere.
It's right here, dude. Where everybody goes sledding. You know, you go up there and everybody's sledding.
Yeah.
That is the coldest
That
recorded
big
temperature
open
in the
area.
continental United States. It's right there.
It's crazy.
And that's why everybody goes there to sled. It is the world's best sledding. Now you know.
Now we know. I haven't been sledding up there. I'm going to have to take my kids while there's still snow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cold. Dress warm.
Yeah. I feel like
Real cold.
But I feel like when you're a beaver, like snowboarding, even when it's super cold, you're almost like down to a shirt
is like
before
that.
you're done, you know?
Yeah, but you're also acclimated to it. You
That's
also have
true.
to realize that where we live is altitude deprivation for everybody who's at sea. Like for them to come and take that garbage out at your house, they'd be like, what's wrong? There's nowhere. What happened?
Why is it hard to breathe?
Why is it so hard to breathe? Yeah, that's why you get people who fly out here. We go snow biking or snowmobiling, and they're out there just dying. They're like, "Why? I can't do this." You're like, "Well, yeah, man, we're at like 9,400 feet." People are like, "Yeah, but you guys are fine." We're like, "Well, we live here."
Yeah.
One of the craziest things to me is like in Peru, when they land, it's Peru and a couple other countries. But when they land, it's such a high level,
Altitude?
high elevation
Yeah,
that they actually give them coca leaves.
really.
You
to
give them
chew
what
on
leaves?
in order to make
Coca
it,
leaves to speed you up.
Oh.
and it cures the altitude
Well, yeah,
sickness.
it's like a big shot of adrenaline.
breathing
Just
faster,
Like, yeah,
like-
you're just like, well, yeah, everything. Well, yeah, but your whole body's more vascular. Vascular.
Yeah.
Everything is. Yeah, your system is just amped up.
and they give you like a Ziploc baggie full.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Worth flying there on its
Peru?
own.
Trip to Peru?
So if you get there, we'll be like, yeah, I really don't need that, but give it to me anyway.
Thank you. Oh, I'm starting to feel ill.
Need another bag.
Oh, fun stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, so we have this new business, the snow bike tours, and man, when you have to recover people, like people who fly in from sea level type places, like they just can't do it. They can't pick a 400-pound dirt bike up off the ground. Like it's well, and like then we're like, oh, you come running over. I got it.
You just
Stand it up.
Yeah.
We're used to this.
It's weird what you can get used to though.
Yeah.
For real.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not even something you think about.
The body is insane.
Yeah.
Like it can acclimate to anything. It changes generationally in some
Yeah.
portions.
Yeah. Dude, so yeah. Well, and even like for example, like I think right here, my house is right around 54. But I can pick up 3,000 feet of elevation gain just going up
Yeah.
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause that's just what it is. There's the altimeters on your snowmobiles. Like I know. And so like,
Oh, yeah.
and I used to like train and ride my bike up that.
Oh, it's the best to just go run, not running in, but like, well, actually running in. Have you guys ever ran in the forest?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I used to trail run when I used to run. I don't run.
it's
I'm not that old.
something else. Yeah, not. It's like just something else though, because you're getting less air technically, but it is way more
Oxygen saturated because of all the foliage.
Yeah, foliage. Yeah, foliage. No, I'm messed up. No, I'm not.
Sorry, I don't know if I said that word right.
Foliage. Yeah, it's foliage.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's just my favorite. Like out in the nowheres. Best place to hang.
So speaking of that, so when I used to do that, did you guys anybody ever try the those Vibram 5-finger toe shoes?
No, not. I always wanted to.
So I've had a couple pairs of them. I run this. So when I was running, that's what I wore. Those are incredible.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh,
It's like being barefoot without the pain.
Yeah. Well, but no, the thing of it is so there's a whole book about it. You kind of have to like practice wearing those because if you go heel to toe, bro, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Is it only toe?
Yeah. You have you're running on the balls of your feet, bro.
Oh, they were made for me.
Yeah, they really, really were. And so like I've had to learn to walk like that. But the thing of it is now that I always walk like that, I'm super sneaky, I'm really quick and agile, but like I can be walking early in the morning and walk through a field of Legos and not stumble, stagger, and get like it's really weird. Your feet, like I'd go run down the street barefoot.
Oh, dude, it's my favorite.
There you go.
I rarely wear shoes once the summer hits.
Yeah. In fact, I participated in a race. They had it. My daughter did this track thing, and then they had on the last one, right? Is the parents are going to come out and race the kids, and my dad, come on, Dad, come. I'm wearing flip flops. I'm like, well, guess we're going barefoot. So,
it's the best way to be, honestly, and it scientifically grounds you.
Well, I was on a track, so no. I think it would have been better
Not
in the grass
the
or on the
same.
dirt. Yeah, it was not quite the same.
No, dang it.
I know. Yeah, that's like you're like, but I agree because that's why I'm in a garden this year. I really want to get back to my earth to ground. I'm go out there garden barefoot.
There you go.
Except for when I'm tilling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't want to lose a toe.
Maybe shoveling. I might possibly wear some shoes as well.
You have to.
You're out there plucking weeds, though.
Yes, or even just planting and working the soil. I'm just trying to. Actually, that's one of the things we're trying to figure out, dude. Is I've got chickens and bunnies. I allowed a free property and crap. So I either have to pen them in, or I have to build fences around my gardens.
Now, if you build the fence, you could just be in the nude out there. Be natural with you.
One with the earth.
I have the fence out here on the end, and I actually am going to do so. Your hazelnuts, right? 3 brands or types that grow here. They're a 12-foot tall, shrubbery type bush. So are elderberries, right? So I'll throw those all along my property line there. It's 12 foot, other than the 2 gates. Yeah, I'm going to try to actually put some stuff in there so that I can be in my garden naked.
There you go.
That's actually the entire idea.
The plan.
I really like this is the silliest thing, but it's funny to me. I want people to come over and they're going to say, "Geez, Brian, your butt's tanner than my face."
Sunbathe.
But I don't want to sit in a tanning bed.
Oh,
There you
that's
go.
perfect.
Yep.
The solution is
You probably don't know this about me. You guys probably don't either. Do you all know that I've been to a nudist colony?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So my parents, actually, this was years ago. We took a Volkswagen bus. My parents are kind of hippies.
Okay.
And so we were probably, Russell drove, my older brother who was here once. He would have been 16, so I would have been 13, or probably 13. And so we're on this road trip across America, right? Well, we're going to detour and go jump up into Canada for a little while and check some stuff out, right? Go to the Space Needle and watch the Blue Jays game, looking over. Kind of cool. But so my mom's friends up there belong to this nudist colony. Now, there's a difference between a nudist colony and a nudist camp. The nudist camp is kind of for perverts, right? That's just people randomly showing up who want to be seen naked, right? A nudist colony, it's a huge, almost like a HOA. And people are buying houses there with yards, and you have to maintain the yard, and you have to maintain the house, and there's a community pool and all that kind of stuff. right?
What?
So that's where we go. And it's like the whole property is off this road out in the middle of nowhere with trees all around it.
Just a bunch of naked people.
Yeah. And so we literally come in there, and I remember my parents and their friends are, okay, well, we're going to go to the nudist colony and go, spend the night in the cabin and go to the pool. And do you guys want to go? And I was just like, well, yeah, might as well. And my older brother's like, nope. And then their teenage daughter is like, nope. And that's one of those funny stories. I never asked Russ, but like doing 2 and 2 together, what do you think they did? So, but anyways, right, it was fine. He was the right age for it. She was probably 2. So I hope it worked out well for them. So anyway, so we go to this nudist colony, right? And so there we are. Okay, well, we're all going to go swim, right? So the adults are all drinking, right? And they're like, well, you got to be naked. So, okay. So I just, this little kid naked, running around outside catching snakes and frogs and shit in the grass, because it's what we did. And so then, okay, so we all go walk to the pool. So we're walking down the road, 5 of us naked, my parents, their friends, me.
The pure unadulterated freedom.
And like, I know it's the weirdest thing. So we're cruising down, and I remember the weirdest thing of the entire thing is some old dude mowing his lawn, mostly naked. He had boots on and like one of the leather workers' tool aprons. Like, shit, I'm not joking you. I mean,
My man was prepared, and he only brought what he needed.
He was, and I just remembered like looking and just being like, and in a way it was just like, you know what? Like, I swear to God, I'm gonna be that old man one day.
I need to
But
be-
like, so we go in there, right? And we go to the pool thing, and you have to shower. Well, with the nudist colony, there's not men's and women's rooms. So we go into the showers, right? And the 4 parents take the 4 shower stalls. So I come to the other side, and 2 women come up on either side of me. Grown women, fully naked.
Just
Showering. Yeah, and it was just one of those things, like, yeah, and it was like, everybody was like, it's okay to look. We're just all just people here. I remember, like, so many people said that to me. But, like, I wasn't the only kid there. Like, there were people with children.
Yeah.
Like, when we were at the
families.
pool. Yeah, families. So we were at the pool, and I remember I think at this point, I think the women in the shower, was what started getting to me, and, like, things happened to a teenage boy. So I was embarrassed, and so I jumped in the pool. So then you're like, okay, so now nobody knows that I'm, well, I mean, everybody knew that I was, but when I was in the pool, nobody could see it anymore. And
There
so
were certain things that were just
this happening. At that point in time, there's no control in it. So
There's
anyways,
no hiding it.
so I remember being in the pool and I swimming, and there was this woman, and this memory is burned in my mind because I was 13 years old, and it was the first time I saw a real woman who was shaved, an adult woman, no hair down there, right? And it was just like, and I'm in the pool, and she's got one leg in the pool and one leg up on the other side of the pool, right? And like, because they're kind of all a little voyeuristic, which is great, that's cool. And she had little children, and one of the little kids threw something in the water, and so I kind of was like, oh, so I swam over and I pushed it to them, and she started talking to me. And my dad has talked of this story because he was on the other side of the pool, and he was like, I've never been so proud of my son. He went right over there and was just staring eye to eye with the business end. It's funny. He's dead. We'll never hear his version of it, but significantly more raunchy than mine because I was still a 13-year-old kid, man. It was an experience, dude. Like, you're like trying not to look, and they're all like, it's okay, you can look. And then you're like,
I
Yeah,
can't
dude,
even
like-
imagine.
It was a really weird experience.
Just nudist colony for the weekend.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was talking to my mom. I'm like, Mom, you want to be on the podcast? She's like, no, I don't. And now I'm like thinking of this, and all of her friends are going to see it. She's going to be like, well,
It was a nudist colony.
like, it is what it is. Are you kidding me? That's like not even the weirdest thing about that trip, dude. My dad sold weed in campgrounds all across the country. Like, that's how they paid for the trip. We were in a Volkswagen bus, and like my parents were like, all right, you guys go explore. We would go out and catch stuff. We have photos of us catching like snakes, rattlers, like lizard, wherever we'd go, whatever the indigenous critter was, we were going for it. We were in this Yogi Bear National Campground in like Ohio. And there's this alarm that goes off, right? We're like, oh, what's that? And one of the campground people was like, oh, it's the alligator alarm. It means an alligator got in the swimming pool. I promise you, my brother and I have never run so fast. We're like, that's our alligator. We'll go get it.
Don't worry, we'll find it.
Yeah. So one of these days, as this thing gets big enough, we are going on an alligator wrestling trip. Because like every time I've been there to Florida and stuff, like every alligator we've gone for has like run away. Now, mind you, I haven't gone for anything big enough to swallow me whole. So like I'm not stupid. I'm not wanting to die, but I want to catch an alligator and like mess with it. I know it sounds stupid, and I don't really care.
Those people from Florida are built different. They'll just grab it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm like. I'm the dude. I'm like, I could do that.
The river
I'm fairly
puppy.
confident. Yes, I might want one of them there. I'll probably watch you do it first, and I'll be like, all right, I got this. I can admit, I'll just watch a guy and then I'll give it a shot.
There you go.
The only one I struggle with in that kind of neck of the world is noodling. You guys know what noodling
Oh,
is?
yeah.
Catfish.
Yeah, I couldn't
noodle.
do that either.
I'm struggling with it, bro. I've seen some of the snapping turtles that live down there. Like, how do you know it's not a snapping turtle? And like, they're all like, well, you don't. Like, dude, that leather glove is not doing shit. You are losing fingers if that's a snapping turtle. I've seen those things.
When they just walk around in murky water with turtles out, like,
I know. That's what I'm like. And it's like, yeah. So
Well, we're talking about the same people that when there's a hurricane, they have alligators that are pulled out of the lakes and thrown into their backyards.
valid.
And
Have you ever
regularly.
eaten barbecue alligator though?
I've not.
It's pretty good.
yeah.
So that's not all bad. To me, it's like, oh, hey, thanks. Come here, you. Yeah, come here, you. You're going to get me a new belt as well as dinner.
Maybe some
Probably get a pair of
Probably a
boots.
wallet, too. Oh, look, there's two. Yep, boots it is.
Hey, make good use of him.
Hey, man. Redneck is not necessarily a race or a skin color. It's a state of mind.
There you go.
And Florida is a state in its own.
Florida's a state of its own.
Or
That's
it's
right.
like its own
That's right.
thing, the Everglades.
Yes, it is. Oh, man, the Everglades. That's still bucket list. I want to spend 10 days there in a kayak.
That sounds like
terrifying.
In a spear.
That sounds like sunburn heaven.
Yeah.
Oh, no, well, okay. So let me quantify that. I'm going to properly brown up first.
There you go.
After my initial kind of bake, I'm not a sunblock guy. I'm just brown.
Yeah. Oh,
Will you throw logs in
the burn then smolder, where you get the smoky. That's the best way to be.
I just like, it's funny. My son, that's a funny topic at our house. The boat situation. Like, I love being on the boat out in the water, sun, and my son and my daughter, my wife, hate it. And we ask why, and they're like, well, for example, like, how many times do you put on sunblock when we go out on the boat? I don't wear sunblock. He's like, right. He goes, I put it on every 30 minutes and I come home burned. He's like,
Wow.
that's why I don't like the boat. And I was like, that's valid. That's valid.
Burning hurts.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, I sunburned.
That's him.
You too?
No, I
okay.
can go out with anything on and be just fine.
I remember this
bad.
one time though. We were working at Red Poppy Rentals with Justin Hamilton, and we were working and setting up this event at the airport, and I had my shirt off because it was hot, and we're in the middle of this black.
It was the tarmac.
Runway. Setting up
The
a tent,
runway.
and I got so burned. I was redder than.
We were like 12 hours in the sun in the days that it was like 105.
Jeez.
That'll burn anybody.
Yeah. It was bad.
I'd have been burned too, I'm sure.
Oh,
That's brutal.
it was terrible. But
Joe
went
had his
home-
shirt off the whole time.
I burned, and I got back, and we put olive oil
Yep.
on my skin.
Feels it
Or
aloe
right
vera?
away.
Really?
Olive oil. I put it on one time, and it went away by the end of the night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Aloe vera helps like relieve it, but olive oil, dude, crazy. Like,
Really?
yeah,
That's
because
interesting. I
there's
didn't know
certain
that.
vitamins or something that absorb into the skin and help heal it in like half the time. I know because I'm like ginger. Want to
Yeah.
be ginger. Yeah,
Right.
like, almost there.
Yeah. Quarter.
Yeah.
1/16. We used to talk. We had this cat that had this. He was like a gray brown tabby cat, but he had. So we always used to joke that he was 16th tabby, orange tabby.
I love it.
Nice.
I was thinking of something as we're kind of closing in on this, Joe. Talking about Tiny and kind of what happened. Need for your foundation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually where now I want to offer a piece of advice. Who might watch this? Now, if you are watching this, you can no longer claim ignorance. Go out and get a living will set up. There are things that you can do to where your survivors and loved ones don't have to deal with a bunch of the headaches that come with that.
Yep.
Right? That's already hard enough. And it's really not that hard, you guys. So one of the guys coming on the show in this month, Craig Winder. You know Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's our business attorney in the group, you guys. And
There you
he's
go.
done a bunch of cool stuff. But so Craig also does estate planning. Yeah, it's $1,000. But like if you own a house, if you own a car, if you have a mortgage, if you have a car pay, if you have any debt, if you have any assets, you need this stuff. You need this stuff. You heard of probate. You heard of all these horror stories of people and their loved ones, their stuff getting messed up, grandma's dying who don't have anything ready to go. Don't do that to your family, right? Like now you know, and there's easy ways to get out there and get that stuff set up where it's just taken care of. You know, now when you move, you buy or sell a property. I didn't realize that is actually a bit of a headache now because I have all that trust and will stuff set up, and we move through stuff.
Yep.
We don't always own the same properties. Like I buy and sell and flip and hold and different things like that. So it's constantly changing. So there is, you know, they talk about the headaches, the hardships of being wealthy, of doing stuff.
Yep.
Like, yeah, there's extra stresses and burdens that you have. But like having some of that stuff in place. And again, for somebody who's passed, like we don't want to fault them. Not. Like a lot of people don't know for
Yep.
real. We've all heard about it on TV. Oh no, that's something that, you know, Donald Duck, or not Donald Duck. What's the rich, McDuck?
Scrooge McDuck. Yeah.
Right. That's something he does. No. That's everybody should do that. If
Yep.
you love your family, just set that stuff up.
Yep.
Not that hard. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
And it makes a
Yep.
world of difference.
Yep. It really does.
And there's things like accident policies that pay death benefits. As hard as that stuff is to talk about. So like I have all of those things on my children. Like God forbid my kids get in an accident and I lose one. Like, I couldn't even imagine.
Right.
But at least then I'm not stressed about how I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah.
That accident policy could cover that stuff for you. So it's not very expensive. You'd be surprised at how inexpensive some of the stuff can be. Now, there's also people out there who take advantage. So if you don't know who to call, man, reach out to us here on the site. Give us a follow and send us a comment, right? The ADHD Express. You can comment, hey, who do I hit up for a good accident policy? I've got a bunch of great people in my network that'll work with you anywhere in the world. Well, maybe not the world, anywhere in their jurisdiction. And if they can't, we'll find you someone who can.
Yep. Good.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, Joe. Thanks for coming out, hanging out, sharing that story with us.
For sure.
Now, here you are out there. So if you guys are also, you want to get involved and do some large multifamily business,
Yep.
Joe, what's your social media platforms?
Yeah. So we're on mainly Instagram, Facebook. and
As?
we have a website. So our Instagram, my personal is Joe_Mr. MMP. And then business is Upgrade Partners Capital. And then same on Facebook.
Cool. Perfect. We'll get some
So-
links to those on there so you guys can go check Joe out. Joe's
What was the website?
It's a upcfund.com. So, yeah. So just to give a quick highlight, what we
Do
do is we raise capital, you know, from mainly high income professionals, put it into apartment buildings, and so they can build passive income and generational wealth.
Yep.
So
and again, for whatever it's worth, I am selling out of all of my kind of small single family investment properties, little duplexes and whatnot.
As
and
am
growing
I.
everything into these
Yeah.
bigger deals. So I've got a deal similar that another group that we work with, we'll probably get Christopher in, I think would be.
yeah.
But I've got some money on a 46-plex in that exact same type of deal. Pocatello. Check out Ridgeline Apartments if you need a.
Yep.
Well, might as well, right?
Yeah, might as well.
And then we've got one going in Layton. We've had a few holdups on permitting and stuff, and so that's not set up yet. Those have been really good opportunities, I think.
Yep.
So for whatever that's worth, for those of you looking at those things, it's a way to get into the investment world, but not be a landlord, because that sucks.
Yeah, because we're selling the 32 unit in Brigham City,
Yep.
and I'm selling my fourplex in Tremont right now too that I've had for 7-8 years.
Well, and just a side kind of a thing, man. The single family rentals poses problems because, man, people just have stuff. You know, we were trying to sell this one. We've got some tenants who aren't letting us in for showings, and then when they did go in for showings, like there's dog feces on the floor. And these are beautiful, beautiful apartments that were in perfect, pristine condition. Like, I don't know who destroys them like that, just as gross like that. But so then we find out, because we go to serve them an eviction notice, right? Well, we find out, man, these.
Oh, shoot.
And so then you're like, well, yeah, no kidding, your life just fell apart. So then we're like, well, yeah, better not serve an eviction notice now, man. Those people are going through some crap. So now's the time to be a compassionate human being. And like, well,
that's the tough thing about being a landlord, because like I had a guy one of my tenants who was going through a really bad divorce, and I gave him, so much leeway. Came back to bite me because he still owes me to this day like $6,000.
Yeah, you'll never see it.
No.
No.
And so it's like I just got to believe in the law of reciprocation, right?
Yeah, you help someone. There's a lot of stuff like that, and actually, I don't know. This book. Have you read The Fifth Agreement?
I don't think I have.
Dude, you need to get that book. That'll help you out a lot. That guy. That situation. It'll help you in a lot of ways in your life, but just that one alone.
Yep.
That's a lot of these things. That's kind of what I keep going back to. Is I'll just read one of those things that kind of helps me. Oh yeah, that's why that's happening. It's all good.
Yep.
They need the help. Give it.
Yep.
That's what these people like. I'm not going to be able to sell this house for 3 more months. These people are there for 3 months. I did tell them we're not going to renew their lease because they they shit all over the carpet like their dogs did. And so they're not supposed to have them anyways. They kind of lied and said they didn't have dogs. And then when we caught them with the dogs, oh, well, they're ESAs.
Yeah.
You can't do that. I'm like, that's not an ESA. Your dog shits in the house. Like they're not, they're just wild dogs that are untrained.
Yep.
We went online and got that fake bullshit letter. And that's why you don't want to be the single family. A lot of people.
Yeah.
A little harder to get away with that crap in a big giant multi.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. There's ways around it for sure.
So
you should check out Rising Strong by Renee Brown.
Rising Strong by Renee Brown.
That's a good one.
That is an amazing
really good.
book. It's a scientific. She does social research on people and like their stories and she interviewed these people in order to see people that had fallen down and what it took for them to get back up and like rise.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Yeah, we'll have to grab that. Make sure we put that in there because that's kind of right up our alley here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No joke.
So it's kind of what we're talking about is people just doing stuff.
Yep.
Now there's another great one. Well, cool, you guys. That's our time for today. Dude, Joe, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thanks
I
for
really
letting me
appreciate
be
you
on.
taking the time.
Been fun.
Kind of a fun experience out here. The fire with firewood jumping out at us. That's on fire. It's always exciting. I said next year we'll cut the logs to the right length. I wasn't sure when I cut all that firewood. I didn't know this was going to be happening. That was all firewood for the outside fire pit. That's why it's all big. It's because the fire pit outside is huge.
Huge, yeah.
Makes sense.
Happens.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on again.
So horses,
love to be on
investing, trusts, not-for-profit funds. Man, we hit a lot of stuff.
Nudist colony.
Nudist colony. Mom, I'm sorry if you're mad about that. Actually, so totally, hang on. This is hopefully this is funny. So in my BNI chapter, when it first started, there was this woman and she ran a local not-for-profit called the Family Place. She was Esther Lee. If you ever met her, she was an incredible human. Still is. I shouldn't say was, but she's no longer running that institution. But she was the kind of the chairperson for our BNI group when I was new. And when they were doing that whole bio introduction thing, it was one of the questions was something that no one knows about you. And I literally came up with 100% of a blank. And it was when I was going through all the legal stuff. So I could be like, oh, I was busted as a spice dealer. I'm like, well, I'm still going to court for that. So I can't say that, anyway. So I was like, oh, the nudist colony. Dude, she was so embarrassed. She was like, Brian, she's like, I can't read that here. And I'm like, that's your job is to read the paper. Like,
you asked the question.
Do your job.
Yeah, that's what I did. Your job is to read the paper, Esther Lee.
Exactly how it's
That's
written.
awesome.
Yeah, don't you abbreviate.
I know I didn't.
Yeah, no, it was just, anyways, it was super funny. So that's always kind of been one of those things I've always been able to keep in my back pocket that people are like, wait, what? Yeah, man, it was an experience. And that was why, like, when I talk about the fact that I grew up different, right? Joe, I don't know if you know, I learned how to drive on that.
Nice.
And do you notice, Joe, one thing real quick, do you know what's missing off of that?
Look
at the
semi?
truck. With the doors. Sleeper. GOT numbers.
Oh, I can't see it from that far away.
That is a ghost truck. That was my
Okay.
dad's military ghost truck, dude. It was crazy. That's a working
Oh,
armored
I see.
personnel
Yeah, there is
carrier.
no numbers on it.
Yeah. That's we have a fun podcast about that. Once it gets out, you'll be able to check it out. It's my older brother came on and we talked all
cool.
about that stuff. And I've got another guy coming. Anyways, yeah. Ron. I got to get Ron on here. I got a dude that works 2 months at a time in Africa. In Zambia, Africa, coming on the show.
That's cool.
So, in fact, we're gonna go to Zambia here. I think in a year and a half. I think these two guys are just gonna go with me because we're gonna do podcasts in Africa.
That
That'd be
sounds awesome.
sick.
Well, are you kidding me? This
Are
next
we gonna
week?
do a podcast?
Yes, I told you on Tuesday. So
perfect.
on Tuesday, we're doing a podcast from a side-by-side overlooking the Grand Canyon
That's awesome.
with the owner of the ranch that we're staying at and the owner of the adventure company that is taking us out. So I was
Heck
actually
yeah.
going to ask you guys, like, how, I mean, we're going to have to pack all this crap
Yeah,
up.
we're gonna have to do some game
Yeah,
planning after.
We're going to have to, like,
figure that
clamp
out.
these to the side-by-sides and have a ring of side-by-sides with microphones and camera tripods and stuff.
I bet
Imagine
you could
just
just
a-
mount it and have two side by sides and then one camera with two people.
Two facing side by side. Pull the glass off.
Something.
We'll figure it out. We
Yeah,
got
that's what I
planning
just.
to do.
But I just figured we're gonna have to wrap these up and put them in backpacks so they don't get beat to crap. And I mean, I've got. Anyways, yeah, it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be so much fun.
Excited to watch that one.
Yeah, well, and it just, as we're trying to do these new businesses, bro, like sometimes doors just open, bro, and that's
Yep.
how you know you're doing the right
Every
thing.
time doors open.
Well, yeah, we are pretty much nonstop. Doors are just we look into a hallway and every door just goes.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, right? Like, don't you feel like that's what's happening right
That
now,
is exactly what's happening.
dude? I did it home, so I'm writing my book, right?
Yeah.
I did a home inspection for this. So, okay, you know my junkyard full of cars.
Yep.
Do you know the story on the 69 Impala? Do you remember vaguely? I recovered it out of a yard I inspected for these people.
I vaguely remember that
Anyways.
story. Yes.
I just did a home inspection for their daughter. They showed up because they remembered me. And you know what she does for a living? She works for a big major national publishing company. Her job is to take your garbage book that you wrote and make it into a nice book.
Nice.
Really?
And I'm just, yeah. Oh, did I not tell you that?
No.
Dude, and I'm just, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, because you guys, that's right. You guys know the Impala. I'm so sorry that you missed. It literally happens to me so fast, I can't even keep track of it. My mind is reeling every single day.
We lived
With, like,
next
how
door
fast-
to the people that had that Impala for years, and we talked about buying it from them and rebuilding and tried to convince them to sell it, and they wouldn't sell it. And then it just disappeared one day. Somebody came and took the fence down and took it.
And
He
it was
took us
him.
over to his shop.
It was me.
He took
That's
us
awesome.
over to his shop, and we were like, "Is that the
He's
Impala?"
like, "Where did you get that?"
No
Yeah.
way.
It started off as like, yeah, we have an Impala. I was like, what year?
Yep.
Is it
Tan or
Green.
Green.
with the soft top?
And just so, again, funny stories on how, dude, that car sat for like 30 years, bro. It has like 20,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Nice.
It
Oh,
runs.
it is
Carter,
pristine.
my kid went over and primed it. They put a battery in it. It runs.
Why
That
haven't you
guy
been
took
driving
so
it?
much care of that engine.
I'm
Like,
blown away. Then they ended up just dumping a bunch of gas in the gas tank. The fuel pump works. It just
he
runs.
cleared the tank in order to make it so
Yeah.
that it ran perfectly. Like
When
that
we
guy
were looking at
cared
it,
about
he
that.
Yeah.
emptied the tank.
It
He
just
everything.
so it is. It's coming home this spring. And actually, another funny story. I don't even know if we talked about this. Did I tell you guys that my son got my dad's old Mustang from the guy that he sold
Yeah.
it to?
Yeah, I
The
mean,
11-second Mustang that I ran down the drag strip when I was like 14 years old.
Nice.
Because that was the kind of parents I had. You know, like our parents, like my dad did a lot of bad stuff, but there's also some shit he did was really cool. Now, would I let my 14-year-old drive a race car down a drag strip? Probably not. But it was still a cool experience. Anyway, so the guy bought it for my dad and kind of, I don't want to say spiteful, but maybe out of a little spiteful, he just like parked it in the backyard, put it up on blocks and put tarps on it.
Oh,
And left
geez.
it there for about 15, 17 years. So that guy was my old Spice partner. So we haven't spoken. Anyways, my kid tracked him down and connected and bought the car from him.
That's
They're going
crazy.
to be bringing it home at the end of this month.
What
These
year
guys
was
are
it?
It's a 78 King Cobra. So it's kind of like they call them the bastard years of Mustangs. They look kind of like an ugly Pinto, which is saying something. But like now they're old and they're limited, so now it's a cool car. And that one's got a big engine and it's fast. So I'm like, okay, Carter, you have to put a cage. You have to do. I'm like, this car is gonna kill. I mean, it pops wheel. The whole front end's blown out of it because of the wheelies that. So
Sheesh.
yeah. So anyway, so it's
Sounds
kind of
fun.
fun. So that and the Impala are coming home this spring. Just be driven.
Get ready for the
Car
Cache
show.
Valley Drive-In.
Cruising.
Yeah.
Cruising. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're gonna cook a pig at the cruise-in, and
Sweet.
we're gonna have some banners. And all you got to do is you want to come and eat some free barbecue at the cruise-in. You just got to come find our booth, subscribe, like, and comment on our posts. And
So
our-
it's gonna be ADHD Express.
Yeah.
yeah, I have logos
Where's
and
the
stuff.
booth gonna be? Is it gonna be at the car show?
I'm not gonna do a booth. I'm just gonna register 2 or 3 spaces and just put cars in there. It's cheaper and easy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And then it's
That's smart.
only friends.
Then it's only friends because it's only friends. So like that's the deal. It's like to give away food. Like I can't without food permits and all
Being
that
a
shit. So
vendor.
it's just my friends. It's just people and friends on my social media. So that's why, like, if you're not, you have to become a friend first, and then we're friends.
There you go. You got to show you.
Yeah, you got to
get
show me, and
support.
then you can have some free food.
Sweet. Well, I'll show up.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick, dude. It's gonna be way fun. We just got to get something done. We have all these projects and cars, and like I got to get something finished. So, but I need my house to sell first, my duplex.
Yeah.
So anyway. All
Well,
right,
if you
we
ever
got to
come-
wrap up, dude. I'm so sorry. Joe's over here giving me the signal. All right, we got to wrap it up. We already did a closing once. Do I need to do another closing?
We can just say goodbye.
We're gonna say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Adios.